Hello and welcome to Raj Sabha TV. I'm Amritanshu Rai and you're watching Constitutionally Yours. In this program, we attempt to demystify the Constitution. Today, we will be discussing and taking up and attempting to demystify the fundamental rights which are fundamental for the Constitution and for the governance of this country. Joining me in this endeavor are a distinguished panel of guests. I have with me Justice T.B. Radhakrishnan. He has been acting Chief Justice of Kerala High Court and has been nominated by the Chief Justice of Kerala High Court. I also have with me Mr. V.D. Satheesan, MLA, nominated by the Leader of Opposition. And I have with me Veena George, Member of Legislative Assembly, Kerala Legislative Assembly, nominated by the Speaker of the Kerala Legislative Assembly. And in the audience, we have students from Government Law College who will be joining us in this discussion. Straight away to the subject. This is right to freedom of speech, expression, and much more. The Article 19, it says, protection of certain rights regarding freedom of speech are all citizens shall have the right to freedom of speech and expression, to assemble peacefully and without arms, to form association or unions, to move freely throughout the territory of India, to reside and settle in any part of the territory of India, and to practice any profession or to carry on any occupation, trade or business. Now all this comes with reasonable restrictions. All of them are subject to reasonable restrictions. So where the rights have been given, they have also been curtailed, and some of the rights have been kind of squeezed down, reduced. My question to you, sir, straight away is, what is the thin line which decides that my right has ended and yours has begun? Where do we decide that? How do we identify that? Because if we understand that, then more or less we have understood the whole scheme.
I would put it this way. Take all the guarantees among the fundamental rights as a whole lot in that chapter. Put it under yourself and find out what all are the things that you are entitled to legitimately enjoy as part of those fundamental rights. And nobody will be permitted to encroach into that limit. It is a fencing. That fence should protect the rights of the individual. That I have a right to speak, I have a right to breathe, I have a right to eat, I have a right to do that, I have a right to do this, I have a right to practice religion, I have a right to express myself. All those are good for myself. And if this is to be protected for me, it has to be protected for the neighbor as well.
Correct.
And this doctrine of having equal protection of all rights available under the Constitution amongst the citizens,
yes,
is the drawing line where the other is chopped with a restrictive covenant not to encroach into my area. And this is, I think, the line where you have to draw it.
So the reasonable restrictions are pretty vague,
yes,
and pretty expansive.
Yes.
So they can include and take away all your rights, but at the same time allow you to have all the rights.
Yes. And this is why the state is made the authority to legislate on the restriction.
Okay.
The guarantee is by the Constitution, and the Constitution authorizes the state to make law making a restriction. Why? This restriction, if anybody is challenging to say that it is in excess of what the Constitution had actually authored, then we have the judiciary to decide whether the restriction is reasonable.
Right.
This is how the judicial process also goes forward.
So on the fine balance between your right and mine.
Yes. It will definitely, the reasonable restriction will be there when it will infringes the right of another person. That is very clear. But the phrase, the right to freedom of expression and speech, had its origins from the independence struggle. The Constitution itself is a product of our freedom struggle. Our freedom struggle was a unique one. because it was not only for the political freedom, but for the social justice and for the freedom of speech and expression. Then we have to protect that freedom of speech and expression at any cost. But when a person is exercising that right, that will not affect the right of another person. That's clear. That is rightly
Yes,
said by
yes.
the justice. It's a very clear factor.
So, my question to you is, very plainly and simply, if we are sitting here and if there is a person there constantly honking, who will be right? Will my right be disturbed, or he is within his rights to continue honking? Now that's the...
While we were studying the law, the teachers will say that while we are walking on the street, we have a right to walk on the street. But while we are walking, when our hand is reaching at the nose of another person, that our freedom ends.
stops at that.
Yeah.
So, but here the nose is somewhere else. It's just the noise.
Noise.
So, will it be considered?
Definitely, definitely. It will. We have the right to life is a right to live in dignity also, live with comfort also. We have a right to live properly.
So, all that
If
is
he
there.
is making that noise, it will affect our life.
Okay, I'll twist the question for Veena.
The things
Now
will be-
replace that person
Yeah.
with a violin. And the two of us are sitting here. Okay, one feels its noise. He likes guitar. And I like violin. So what happens to his right and my right?
No, what I think is that the things will be beautiful if I realize that he also has got the same rights, or he is also guaranteed by the same rights as I am guaranteed by the Constitution of India. If I recognize my fellow being, then things will be simple and beautiful.
But that's
it.
where the problem is. We understand our rights, but don't understand where that right ends, where the other's rights begin. That is what the gray area that I'm trying to identify while talking to you and extracting your experience. So that is the area that I want to understand. How do you do that? When you are walking, talking, you are a aware citizen. When you are doing it, when you are speaking, or you are verbally assaulting someone, how do you do that? How does that citizen balance it?
See, I see this this right is guaranteed by the Constitution on me as a social being or as a citizen. So, on that basis, things are applicable. So,
I get it.
Yeah.
So you would like to add something to it?
I would say that the solution from the societal point of view, I was saying earlier as well, you need to change the mindset of the people. This is where the learning and practicing the fundamental duties become relevant. Take your fundamental duties as a citizen. Like she agrees with me on the principle of you understand your own rights and you should concede those rights for the neighbor. Now, it should be a fundamental duty to practice that fundamental right principle. And similarly, in the preamble to the Constitution, we have the dignity doctrine. And in my humble view, the dignity is the most valuable asset of any human being. It is not food, right to water. Why do you want all this? Only if you have dignity. If your dignity is to be protected, you need to be fed. So this dignity doctrine, which is so crucial, dignity of the individual, if it is saluted by the neighbor by practicing his fundamental duty, this is why I've said that you should have a paradigm shift in the vision of the people. The people's vision have to change. We, the people of India, who say that we have constituted and we are essentially a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. This dignity doctrine of the neighbor will have to be saluted, and this salutation has to come from every individual citizen by practicing the fundamental duties.
Correct. That's the
And this is exactly why I was indicating that the legal services authorities have now come up with a program where to sensitize people to live with dignity, people to honor dignity, people to honor. Why women are being harassed at homes and also in the streets? You don't recognize their dignity. You don't extend to them their dignity. So it is this dignity doctrine which is the most fundamental and crucial thing which has to be ultimately honored.
We'll take questions. Yeah.
My question to executive regarding this Article 19(1) in the Right to Know Information Act. In cabinet, conducting cabinet notes not given to the citizens. Is not a violation of these articles?
Sorry,
His point is, his question is
Right to
that the
information.
cabinet notes under RTI, why can't it be given to people, and isn't it a violation of 19(1)(a)?
one.
And in 1A, right to information. I have raised this matter on the floor of the assembly. I have asked the chief minister, the government is responsible when a person is asking the cabinet notes on the Right to Information Act. The government is responsible to give that cabinet notes and the government orders also. In some of the cases, when a matter came before the cabinet, it will be postponed because for the legal scrutiny, for financial scrutiny. Except for that cases, all other cases is under the Right to Information Act. Government have to give all these details, cabinet notes, cabinet details, government orders, etc.
Veena, that's where we need to see. When you are in the opposition and when you are on the other side of the phone, not the government, what happens is everything becomes the right thing to do, especially right to information. Should the argument from the opposition will be make everything open and available. But the same people, when they enter the government, like you are part of or you are representing the government, there is an element of secrecy that comes in, and you start withholding information, deciding on your own as to what is relevant for the people and what is not. Isn't that not right, or isn't that a violation? So the question that he has put is, right to information, cabinet notes, why shouldn't it be made available every time?
Nothing is kept secret, nothing is kept hidden, everything is transparent and every decision is made public, and the only thing is that CM soon after the cabinet, he does not, as earlier CMs used to do, he will not hold this press conferences. Everything will be published in the concerned departments and the websites, and everything is transparent and it's open to the public. Nothing is made secret or nothing is hidden, kept hidden.
That's a very valid point.
The government has filed an appeal before the Honorable High Court against the order issued by the Commissioner.
It's time for us to head into a break. When we return, we'll carry on with the discussion and the question session. Welcome back. You're watching Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha TV. Continuing with the discussion and the questions. Yes, the next question.
Sir, my question is to the executive. So it's settled that freedom of speech and expression includes right to protest. But in many cases, the government is prosecuting citizens for raising its voice against the government policies. Example like the Facebook trolls, etc. So these days they are being trialed.
Veena, I think you should take this question.
No, that's not the case in Kerala, because
But
he is.
you have to speak to the larger canvas.
Yeah.
The whole of India is going to be watching.
Sir, the
So
rights of
that's
the citizens or individuals, it should be protected. So, the individuals or the citizens have the right to express their views and state their opinions, or whether it's in new media, in social media, or whether in its public or public meetings, it should not be restricted. So, I am against this restrictions on Facebook or social media or anything. And what I think is that as a citizen, I should be aware of the rights and freedom of my fellow being. So if I am aware of that, I will be very, I can use this type of media, social media, new media very promptly and usefully. So
Veena, the question is
Yes.
two.
Yeah.
Twofold. First is it's a social media. Can you include this new technology, which is social media, and extend it to the rights in this, point number one, and also protest on that forum, and also be protected from not being trolled, which means no negative remarks should be made against you if you protest on a social media. So this is the question that he has asked.
See, as a citizen, I have the right to express my views in my social media, in new media,
Correct.
in my Facebook or WhatsApp. I have the right, and it's guaranteed by the Constitution, because freedom of expression, it's guaranteed by the Constitution. So I am against that, because
And protection from trolling.
yeah,
Can you claim protection for making a public speech?
like I didn't understand.
If you speak in a public platform,
Ah.
and if you're delivering a speech, and if someone does not agree with your speech, do you have the protection?
No,
from
I
the
don't
other
have any
one,
protection. I
not-
should be tolerant to the negative remarks and criticism. What we are seeing now in Kerala, M.T. Vasudevan Nair or Kamal, they have stated something against this, the new currency policy of this central government, and now they are finding criticism, and they are facing criticism that cannot be tolerated. So tolerance is a very essential thing, and I am not protected against such negative remarks.
Okay, sir, you would like to add
I
to this?
think there was a penal provision in the IT Act. The Supreme Court struck down that penal provision. Unfortunately, if somebody is posting in social medias, in Facebook, in WhatsApps, that affects the, that violates my right to live with dignity. Unfortunately, it's happening. There is no mechanism to check that. So many persons are misusing that freedom of expression through social media. They are writing, they can write anything against any person. They are protected by, now they are protected by the law. They are violating my right to live with dignity. That is what is happening here.
Sir, this new area, emerging law, how much protection do you have as far as being trolled is concerned?
Well, I first go to the basics on any of these issues,
Correct.
any issues for that matter. Now, if there is a law of defamation, including criminal defamation, which has got teeth and which acts swiftly, our entire problem in India is time factor.
Yeah.
You may do anything, but face things after so many years. But instead of that, if you have a system like what the learned MLA was saying, somebody is putting smug on me, marks on me, which are actually defamatory. They may look obnoxious, but may not be defamatory. You know, it may be truth. Justification by truth is one of the greatest defenses available against a prosecution for defamation.
Correct.
So I would say that I should be tolerant to any opinion, including criticism of whatever I have expressed. I should be open to it. If I can't take it, then I should, at the first instance, keep myself shut, so that I don't start blabbing and make others blab. But once having done that, and when I invite opposition, I can't say that I will say whatever I want, you shall not criticize. No. So I think it's a matter of open forum for expression of opinion. And how the defamation law should develop is, if I forward an SMS received by me, or an email received by me, or a WhatsApp received by me to another, that amounts to publication by transmission for the purpose of defamation. But I should have a forum to make a complaint. That forum should be one which has easy technical access to what has actually happened. And if that is found, the queries should be raised in a week or two, and the penalty should also be available in 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
And the penalty should be sufficient enough that it pinches to the satisfaction of the person who has been wronged, and it pinches the wrongdoer to the extent that it should be a situation where he would think not twice but thrice to repeat such matters. This is where we fail.
Yeah. We'll take the next question.
My question is to the judiciary. Whether freedom of speech and expression that is guaranteed under Article 19(1)(a), does it entitle the press to conduct trial by through media?
Sir,
See, this trial by media is itself a phrase which has been developed by the commoners, in the sense the common people. It is not a technical system at all. Media has two duties. One is it has the greatest role as the transmitter of information from the source to the ultimate recipient, which is the people. The second is they can formulate opinion, they can suggest opinions, they can formulate possibilities, which can also be a matter which can be food for thought for the people. That way there could be discussions on many issues. But trial by media, as you put it, is what you indicate is that one person being put with all the accusations and he being faced to trial. I think within the realm of freedom of speech and expression, to some extent it could be there, unless of course it again goes against the defamation principle which I said in answer to the earlier question. But what I would love, and I not only desire but I insist from the bottom of my heart, is that the judicial system, where the judges decide cases in terms of the laws of the land, are not to be influenced in any manner by this so-called public trial, media trial, or
no, that's asking for too much.
That's asking for too much. Because once the media trial concludes hanging up a person, and if the very same man does not get an order of conviction to that extent, either the people has a look at the judiciary as if the judiciary could do nothing. Because from inside the judiciary, I say, unless every judge gets insulated himself from external influence of such actions of media trials, the system fails.
So do you think that's possible? Do you
Yeah.
think the judiciary, with all its armor and all its segregation, which Sir was just a while telling us, they are being segregated, they have their own way, no one talks to them, they are not supposed to talk to the media. Do you really think it's possible to insulate the judiciary?
We are always under the trial of the media. We are always under. In some cases, in court cases also, there is a term, there is a phrase now used by all the commoners, as rightly said by the justice, that this is media trial. I have observed some things. When a trial is going on, or during the course of a hearing, the judges are making some observations for getting some information from the lawyers who is arguing the case. It was only just for getting information, but it became very big news, scrolling the news that the judge commented against the minister, commented against the political leader, commented against the IAS officer or the DGP or the chief secretary. It seemed as it is the conclusion, it's just like the judgment. Then the final conclusion may be different, the final judgment may be different, but they have already done the damage. In many cases, this is repeated in almost all the sensitive cases in Kerala. That media trial is going on.
Veena, you are best positioned to answer this. You have handled it several times, you know how it is done. What do you have to say to it? This media trial thing, how important it is for us, you know very well. But for the other institutions, it becomes sort of a problem. What do you
You are
have to
talking about the second responsibility of the media. The first one is that informing the people, and now we are in Kerala, we are discussing about that, and I think media does not have any particular right guaranteed by the constitution.
Correct.
So it's like the individual right only.
Correct.
So, and what I think is that it's a right to information of the people. That's important, and there lies the importance of the media. And now we are discussing about the responsibility of the media in bringing about the truth. I used to do this 9 p.m. discussions, and again in this case, what I think is that every person, every journalist has got a political stand, or he or she has got his own or her own view. But in these discussions, we should not lead the people or the audience to make to lead or bring that our audience to our view or our ideas. It means that we should not be biased, at least on the screen.
So we should not give it slants and angles.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
We should leave this matter to the audience, and I am against like keeping on doing this trial and all. I am against that, or I am against conducting discussions which may influence the court proceedings or the judgment, and I am against that. But still, it depends on the individual or the journalist. He should be, yeah.
And unlike the US Constitution, there is no express provision for freedom of press in Indian Constitution of India.
It's a
But
derived
there is
one.
a well settled principle that it will attract the 19(1)(a). And the right to information now is a right. Then the right to information of the people to get the information from the courts also. Then the right of the media person should be protected also. And we have a right to know what is happening in the court also. What is the judgment of the courts? What are the deliveries of the
So
judges?
the information's...
Yeah, information. As rightly said by the justice, it is the duty of the media to transmit the one information from the source to
Correct.
the
primary duty.
Yeah, yes.
And in that transmission, many changes may happen.
There are interpretations.
That's all we have time
misleading
for.
views are there.
That's all we have time for in this episode. We'll be back with a new issue and a new episode. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV.